Good evening, everyone. My name is Joe Kennedy. I'm from Newton, Massachusetts. As we gather tonight, we keep the people of Uvalde in our hearts, the people of Buffalo as well. And just yesterday, we added the victims in Oakland, California to this horrible list. The day before, Denmark, South Carolina. Last Sunday, one day alone, Los Angeles, California, Roseville, Michigan, Gary, Indiana, Indianapolis, Indiana, Austin, Texas, New Orleans, Louisiana, and Denver, Colorado. All incidents of mass shootings in one day. I had the honor of serving in Congress for the state of Massachusetts for 8 years. A few weeks after the horror that took place at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Florida, I had an opportunity to speak to some members of their community. The words I wanted to share tonight are largely taken from that speech. And that fact is probably the most gutting. Because once again, there was a chance to do something, and nothing happened. There are no words, tragedies your communities have endured. No thoughts, no prayers, no promises or platitudes that can possibly communicate how our hearts have been broken, how we wish we could ease this suffering, how we stand in awe and in pain as we watch those impacted, their loved ones, their children, bear the brutal burden of membership in a club that you would not wish on your worst enemy. We keep you in your hearts, and we are so ashamed. Ashamed that our teachers, teenagers, our moms and dads, our nanas, and our 9-year-olds are the ones out marching in the streets while countless elected officials cower in the corner. Ashamed that the toughest country on earth keeps getting brought to its knees by a young man with a gun. Ashamed the power brokers and policymakers in our midst who refuse to protect the people we love, but steadfastly protect what is wholly, fully, unequivocally responsible for the loss of precious lives, a weapon of war in unfit hands. Ashamed that our country didn't stop this yet again, that we didn't do more, do better, or do braver for our kids. I am now a parent of 2 young children. I have a 6-year-old daughter and a 4-year-old son. And as any parent knows, nothing brings you face to face with vulnerability like a child. From those very first moments, you find yourself bargaining with God. Let him be healthy, and I will never ask for anything again. Deliver her safely, and we will be model human beings the rest of our lives. Ignore everything I have ever asked for. Nothing else matters. Just this, just them. And that vulnerability, of course, it never goes away. In that first breath, you wrestle with the consuming joy and complete terror of loving something so deeply. You learn that there are places your protection cannot reach. Bullies, broken hearts, injustice, and illness, and unthinkable tragedy. So you offer your children a simple promise, like every parent before and every parent to come. Not that everything will always be okay, but that what hurts today will feel better tomorrow. That what's broken can be healed. What's scary can be tamed. And what's overwhelming can be overcome. At their best, our communities, our country, together they fortify that promise for American families, building a web of stability, security, and decency so no family is forced to go it alone. so that when we pull our children close and tell them it won't always hurt this badly, we can mean it. We can believe it. Today, yet again, we find ourselves grappling with a country of broken promises. Our children wake up every morning in a country where nearly 100 lives will be lost to guns by the time they go to bed. They hear a Republican Party say that this is a price of freedom. Elected leaders who won't even allow research into gun violence because they are afraid of the truth. Who can't muster the courage to ban bump stocks or guarantee background checks. Let assault weapons and high-capacity magazines flood our streets. We try to gut our already broken mental health system and then blame it for being broken. A government that offers thoughts and prayers and passage of time, but no solutions. And the most gruesome part of all of this is that it's our kids. It is always our kids. They're not gun violence only victims, but, dear God, they are the shame that plagues us. We have forced them to come up in a world where active shooter drills are now the norm, where they know where best to sit in a classroom to avoid a gunman's bullet, where they hear and see and watch footage of kids that look just like them, facing unthinkable danger and loss. Our kids. Why do we always force them to become our nation's conscience? Why do we put our inaction on their shoulders? Why do their spines prove twice as strong as the adults meant to protect them? Our history is literally littered with examples of little boys and girls forced to become heroes ahead of their time. The mill girls of the 1830s, unafraid to take on industry giants, the fight for basic dignity at work. The 9 black students from Little Rock, who marched into an all-white high school in 1957 to prove that separate is not equal. Little boys and girls as young as 7 or 8 years old who formed the Birmingham Children's Crusade, daring to defy Bull Connor's fire hoses and attack dogs, got arrested and rearrested again and again as our country recoiled in horror. 4 college students from Kent State who gave their lives to a war-weary nation's plea for peace. From Stonewall to Selma to Seneca Falls, young people force us to confront what we have left broken. Our Parkland heroes, who have inspired an entire generation to march for their lives. The Uvalde Angels, who now join their ranks.